Good evening and welcome to 27 Minutes here on WJTS UPN 27. The Dubois County Veterans Council sponsored a Memorial Day service at the courthouse last weekend.
And we read about our relatives, our uncles and aunts that may have lost their lives during the World War II and other conflicts. And it's the price of freedom that was paid that we're also thankful for.
Every day in the United States, certain rights are available. The right of liberty, the right for pursuit of happiness, the right of freedom from tyranny. Little thought is given to those rights until July 4th or on Memorial Day.
On this here Memorial Day, we are here to remember our deceased comrades and those veterans who returned home physically and emotionally scarred by the horrors of the war. By observing Memorial Day, we assure that their memories and spirits did not die with them. They did not go to war because they wanted to die, but rather they went out of sense of honor, duty, to fight for our country and freedom.
On Memorial Day, the Dubois County Veterans Council and area veterans organizations gathered to honor the memory of those men and women who were called to protect those rights we sometimes take for granted.
What unites us as one American, a time to recognize what the martyr holds our society together with, is mixed with blood and tears of those who fought and died in battle. Many soldiers were laid to rest in enemy territories, far from loving families who could not care for their graves, so their graves often fell victim to neglect. On May 5th, 1868, Major General John...
It was concern over the care of graves of loved ones that found women of the North responding to letters of women of the South to decorate those graves of those buried far from home.
In 1971, Congress designated the last Monday in May as Memorial Day, the day of remembrance we know today.
That tradition began when the Grand Army of the Republic, which was the veterans organization for the Civil War veterans, began in 1882 to walk to the cemeteries, of course.
And it was the memory of a comrade, friend, or soldier on the battlefield that brought family and friends to the Memorial Day observance or to their community cemetery over the weekend.
We can't know how they died, whether it came instantly or whether they lingered, knowing as they died that they would never see the wooded hills of southern Indiana again. It is difficult for us, some 50 years later, to fully realize what these men went through.
As guest speaker, Judge Hugo Songer illustrated with stories.
Ernie Pyle, the great war correspondent, who wrote about the GIs, as you know, and those of you from World War II will, of course, remember him. This is a quote. He said, the wounded man was still semi-conscious. A chaplain knelt beside him and said, John, I'm going to say a prayer for you. Somehow, this stark announcement hit me like a hammer. He meant John's final prayer. The weak, gasping man tried vainly to repeat the words, and then the chaplain dashed off to another call. The dying man was left utterly alone, just lying there on the floor, on the ground, lying in an aisle because the tent was full. Of course, it couldn't be otherwise, but the aloneness of that man as he went through the last few minutes of his life was what tormented me. I felt like going over and at least holding his hand while he died, but it would have been out of order. I wish now I had. I have been shown in the files of the War Department.
Honored were those who fought in battles in Europe, Asia, Pacific, Korea, and Vietnam.
Spilled on places all over this globe.
Honored were the deceased survivors.
As we speak, a personal hero of mine, a colleague, a comrade in arms of those of you who were in World War II, is being buried. Don Peach, who I
Those
worshiped
who returned home, who worked side by side to build their country and communities, were also recalled.
Took a bullet through the chest at zigzag path. Each of you has a story, a unique story, and succeeding generations, even in your own family and of your fellow citizens, need to know and understand that story. And your grandchildren and great-grandchildren will want to know what you went through.
We should join hands and hearts with all these other organizations in loving Memorial Day services and honor all our fallen comrades.
Among those honored and recalled for their service was Herb Beck.
Membership of over 50 years in the DAV Navy.
His dedication to many DuBois County veterans organizations was spoken of, a plaque presented to his wife Annie, and a wreath placed at the Veterans Memorial Fountain in his honor.
Oh God, the names we hear this day, the list seems long, and the memories are longer. We recall lives shared, concerns given for each other, comradeships that have no end. And as we commend these men to your everlasting care, help us remember. Remember not only their sacrifice, but the purposes that guided their lives so well and so diligently. That we too would take heart, be given hope.
Those who were honored with prayer and a final salute.
Firing squad.
We pray that you would also commend us on our way. And as we take to heart the sacrifice, the gifts, the courage that we celebrate today of our fallen comrades, may we take hope in serving you in a land fresh and imbued with liberty.
Stay tuned. We will have more 27 minutes right after this. Is that Portland, Judd? Yep. It's now time for today's homeowner, brought to you by Kremp Lumber Company in Jasper.
Now, if you use a finishing sander like this around your house, sooner or later you're going to tear the paper. Now, Joe has some great tips on how to prevent tearing that paper so often.
That's right, Danny. The problem with a finishing sander like this is that the edges of the paper are exposed on the sides of the tool. But you'll notice in the rear and the front of the tool, the paper is tucked up under paper clamps. So all you need to remember is always move the sander parallel with the wood grain. If you turn it sideways, you're much more likely to catch an edge on a splinter and tear the paper.
Now, sooner or later you will tear the paper or just wear it out, and it can be very time-consuming removing that pad and putting another one on. But Joe has some other ways of making that a little quicker as well.
That's right. When you load new paper onto the sander, always put 2 or 3 pieces on. Then when one wears out or tears, you simply rip off the old sheet and expose a fresh sheet of paper. This tip can also be used for other sizes of finishing sanders, including half-sheet orbital sanders.
We will be right back. think I'm in love with you. Yep. In part two of her conversation with Southwest School Corporation Superintendent Bob Yost, Tony Frick finds out what's on the agenda in the Southwest DuBois County school system.
What's on the agenda for 2000 and 2001 and beyond for the Southwest DuBois County School District? Well, before exploring technology advances, rising graduation standards, and new education programs, Southwest DuBois County School Corporation Superintendent Robert Yost took a jump backwards.
To look into the future, you have to glance quickly at the past. And in the school corporation, one of the major accomplishments was the completion of the elementary building project, which gives us modern facilities to service students K through 5 in both Huntingburg and Holland. And now I think the board can use that event as a springboard into year 2000 and over the next several years. One of the things that the elementary building project allowed us to do was to fully bring technology to students at the K through 5 level, which we had very limited resources in that area before. Now that we have provided the elementary buildings with computers, network labs, we're going to turn our sights to the Southridge complex and anticipate in the summer 2000 of replacing all the computers in the high school. This will allow us to have all the computer programs that we have in the school corporation accessible at any of the buildings within the school corporation, as well as even here at the central office at Maple Park. And so I think stepping into the new year and the new millennium, we know that technology is a big item when it comes to future instruction, and we feel like we're going to be poised to take advantage of that particular item for the future.
Southwest School Corporation Superintendent Robert Yost noted that the administration office's move to Maple Park Building provided more storage space for administrative needs and opened up the old facility for the high school's enrollment increased.
Occupying the west level of that building. That presence within the building should help maintain the building as well as add to the surrounding neighborhood.
Noted that facility upkeep is an ongoing task and that the 25-year-old high school building was in need of more than computer upgrades.
Continue in the future. This summer we're planning a roof renovation project that will cover a portion of the northwest part of the building and replacing the roof there. We also are looking to upgrade some of our outdoor facilities as we continue in that respect. Over the years we've replaced the tennis courts to the south of the campus and a new track, running track at the football field. One of our next areas is to replace some of the bleachers at the football field. Those go all the way back to when the school opened, and in part they were bleachers that were brought from the city park out to the high school. They've served their time and they need to be replaced, and we're hoping to accomplish that this summer as well. So facilities and grounds are an ongoing situation. There are limited dollars, and we try to do as much with those dollars as we possibly can in order to ensure the investment the taxpayers have in the schools within the district.
Tony Frick, TV 27 News.
We will check sports after this. Yep. In sports, Jasper Wildcat baseball team will take a 21-6 record into their last regular season game tonight at Rookser Field against the Clarksville Generals. Here are some highlights of another great year for Terry Gilbert's Baseball Cats. And in the third, Matt Kiefer laced a 2 RBI double to the gap in right center field, scoring Reggie Hayes and Jason Wolf. The Panthers would get a run in the fourth to make it 8-1 Jasper. The Cats pushed their lead to 12-1 in the bottom of the fourth inning. Phil Schwank doubled and was driven home on a sac fly before Reggie Hayes hit a 3-run homer to left center field to give Jasper the 11 runs they needed to end the game in 5 innings, as Phil Schwank faced the minimum in the 7th thanks to a double play. Schwank gave up 3 hits on the game in going the distance. Once again, it was Jasper 12, Bloomington South 1. At Bedford, the Wildcats continue their string of scoring in every inning. They get all over the Stars, 15-0 in 5 innings on the road. Jasper scores 5 in the first inning. The big hit was a 3-run triple by Michael Allis when the Stars center fielder went for the diving catch but came up empty. Then in the second, Jason Wolf led the inning off with a single. Matt Kiefer roped a line drive single to right field before Neil Giesler ripped an opposite field home run to left center field to give Jasper an 8-0 lead. The Cats added 1 in the third as Mark Sager went deep to left field. We have more from Sager later on in the ball game. 5 more for Jasper in the fourth as Wolf and Kiefer once again singled. Neil Giesler walked, and then Brandon John smacked a 3-run double, cleaning the bases. John then came in to score on Sager's second homer of the game, a bomb to left center field. The scoring was closed in the fifth as Ross Hardings hit a pinch hit double and later scored on Giesler's RBI double. Giesler had 2 hits in the game. The hitting was good for the Wildcats, but the pitching even better for Mark Sager as he held Bedford to 2 hits while striking out 7. The final once again in Lawrence County, Jasper 15, Bedford nothing in 5. Jasper snapped a 2-game losing streak by whipping Pike Central 15-1 on the road. Jasper scored 3 in the second as Mark Sager drove in Ross Sheeter with a double. Michael Allis then singled to center field, plating Brandon John and Sager. Cats added 2 more in the third. Matt Kiefer unloaded a shot to right field, a solo homer to lead off the inning. Neil Giesler then walked before Brandon John knocked him home with a single. 2 more runs in the fourth for Jasper. Jason Wolf had an RBI single in that inning, driving in Reggie Hayes, who walked earlier. Jasper then hit the Chargers with the knockout punch in the fifth when they sent 12 batters to the plate en route to picking up 8 runs. Brandon John doubled in the inning to lead things off. Matt Kiefer had an RBI single. Kiefer had 3 hits on the game. Jeff Braun also had an RBI single. Cats also took advantage of 5 Pike Central walks in the inning. Matt Kiefer threw a 2-hitter against the Chargers, striking out 5 in the game. The final, Jasper 15, Pike Central 1. Jasper and Castle played what seemed like 2 different games as the Knights beat the Cats 8-4 at Rookser Field. The Cats scored 4 in the bottom of the second inning. Phil Schwank singled to start the inning. Ross Sheeter doubled while Brandon John singled, and Mark Sager hit an RBI double, and like that it was 4-0 Jasper. The Wildcats ripped Princeton at Gil Hodges Field 1-0 in the Big 8 Conference opener. Jasper scored 2 in the first as Mark Sager drove in Neil Giesler, who singled, and Phil Schwank, who walked. Jasper added another run in the third as Giesler drove in a run with a ground ball to short, scoring another Jasper Invitational Tournament Championship trophy tonight at 10 right here on UPN 27. The sectional will start on Monday when the Wildcats host Vincennes Lincoln. That will wrap up this week's edition of 27 Minutes here on WJTS UPN 27. For the entire crew, I'm Kurt Gutgsell. Have a great weekend.